Good evening, everyone. My name is Mazezok, and you're welcome to Njenje Media TV. This evening, we will be looking at why are Nigerians in the diaspora, why are they so passionate to see a new Nigeria? Over the months, you may have seen the movement called the obedience. In most times and in most forums, you understand and you will see that many Nigerians in the diaspora are really spending their time, energy, wealth in order to see if something could happen back home. Many have questioned why are those who are in a land that many back home here would be considering in a safe place, why would they be much interested in seeing that the place that they've left becomes a very good place to eventually go back to? Many also say, well, the only reason why they remember that is because their placentas were buried there. That reminds us of the story um, in Things Fall Apart. Recall the part where the Obanje story and when that, the scenario where the placenta was being searched for. Now, the question is that as we all know that irrespective of the fact of how much those in the diaspora, how much they send home, and also those that are doing excellently well, irrespective of how successful they are, quote unquote, in a foreign land, they would always want to come back home. I have here with me this evening a man that many may love to see or hear his view. He is the United Kingdom Labour Party chairman. I have Abraham Ignobole, who is joining me all the way from London. Abraham, good evening.
Good evening, Mazi. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you very much, Abraham. Why do you think that many Nigerians who are in the diaspora, irrespective of how successful they might appear or they might be, that they still think that home is the best?
You know, it's not so much that they think that home is the best. It's that home is home, and there's no matter what you do about or try to do about your story, your history, you need to explain how you got here one way or the other, and that narrative begins from shores, not here. And so, in many ways, we in the diaspora. I mean, let's bear in mind that we are young diaspora. There are diasporans that have left the shores of Nigeria, Africa, Ghana, wherever for 500 years before us, and they still are looking, in one sense, to seeing in their consciousness, maybe Africa, generally speaking, to see it reach its full potential and reach its full glory. And the reason, and I think the core reason behind this is because uh, we out here in the diaspora, we are a derivative of the underlying asset, which is Nigeria. And if Nigeria doesn't succeed, if Nigeria doesn't prosper or doesn't reach its full corporate expectations, its impacts on our value out here in the diaspora. And so of course, we are proud to be Nigerian. We're proud of our ethnic nationalities within Nigeria, and we many of us who know where we're coming from know that Nigeria is made of great people. And it's just a shame that what we're dealing with is a corporate existence that isn't facilitating an even greater Nigeria. And so, yeah, looking at it from a diaspora perspective, we see Nigeria as a place where we have a lot to contribute to, but in many ways don't necessarily understand the channels by which we can contribute, and even understand if we have the relevant skill sets that meet the exact position that Nigeria is in at the moment. Of course, we want to contribute. Question a lot of Nigerians are asking is how, and some others why.
Okay, I think the connection just went a little bit wonky there. I'll just quickly have him back. But again, in line with what we are discussing this evening, bearing in mind that the diaspora always remember home, send money home, do whatever they wish, and have people at home that they pay their school fees. Some have parents that they take care of. Some have siblings that solely depends on them. There a whole lot that is really going out there within the diaspora community. A whole lot. When we say a whole lot is really, going in there. If you bear all these in mind, you then begin to appreciate maybe the reason why they are passionate. So passionate that, for instance, today, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi was in London, say, for instance, and oh, okay, I think my guest is back. Let's see.
I am back in. Apologies on that.
So, what happened there?
I think my other device just overheated, so I quickly switched over to another device. So apologies on that. Yeah.
Okay. So, may you conclude your thoughts, please?
Yeah. So in many regards, we in the diaspora see Nigerians succeed on an individual level. So I mean, on a sporting level, on a business level, on an academic level, on a political level, we see we are in high places. We're treading the heights of the land, but there is nothing like corporate success. You can have individual success, but corporate success, when corporate success is missing, it feels like something is missing in the whole equation. We look at India, we look at China, which have risen from the dust in recent times. As a result of their corporate success or relative success, you meet Indians in your working place, you look at them different. You meet Chinese, you deal with them different because the underlying asset class or the underlying commodity by which they derive from is demonstrating global success. And so this is what Nigerians need, and we in the diaspora can see that, I think, more clearly than most.
Now, before you rejoined, I was alluding to the fact of what happened today in a hotel in London where His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi went to, and these Nigerian family, really accosted him, and they spoke, and were basically expecting him like, okay, please, we need you to fix this mess so that we come back. Now that actually reinforces that narrative and notion that really the diaspora, they really want to come back. Now, and in coming back, what are how would they be part of whatever that is happening at home? I hear that you are the Labour Party chairman in the United Kingdom. Now, in that role, how do you think that, maybe through the party structure or anything, how do you think that the party or your role could help to see that more diasporas get even more interested in the affairs and regarding things that happen at home?
Yeah, awesome. So, very good question. I see my role as that of a bridge, and mine is to lay down and allow talented individuals that are out here in the diaspora to connect with relevant parties on the ground, um,
Mm.
whether it be lawmakers, policymakers, uh, local chairmen, right up
Mm-hmm.
to all kinds of political actors within the arena of Nigeria. And so a big part of what my role entails is identifying talent here and nurturing them as much as is within our capacity to do so, and connecting them to the parties that their skill sets or their passions will most be utilized or be most useful in aligning with. So yeah, so I see myself as just a bridge in many ways, I've noticed, and I mean there since the Labour Party has been established here in the UK, that's the Labour Party in Nigeria. Um, we've had amazing responses from diasporans who just so excited to see what they can do to get Peter Obi elected. Some are interested in actually going back to Nigeria and running. Some are, but some are not. Some just want to contribute financially. Some want to contribute in terms of policy and the think tank element of our organization. And others just want to, provide some of their skill sets that they've gained from their own domain expertise, whether it be working in finance, in banking, others in tech, others in engineering, others in just in the NHS. Again, some even within civil service. Again, they just are more than happy to bring their best practices to bear and feed that into our policy think tank, and and support all those on the ground who have to make daily decisions, allocating capital here and there, making decisions on what's the best thing to do uh, for Nigeria. And so yeah, so I see my role as that of a bridge.
Okay. So obviously the bridge, between the old and the new order, how things now should be done moving forward. Now, has that been challenges? People in diaspora, are they more difficult to manage in order to, maybe the system where they live have somewhat inhibited them? Do they think differently? Are they receptive to change compared to those that are at home?
It depends on what generation we're talking about. So I think the older generation know Nigeria in a way that the younger generation don't. And the older generation have a patriotism to Nigeria that perhaps the younger don't. But the younger celebrates their identity as Nigerians. So I mean, I find myself in the middle. I'm dealing with older and I'm dealing with younger. And what I find speaking to the older generation is that they are concerned that their children are getting in many ways lost uh, in the system here. In many ways, I mean, their children don't necessarily want to go home, and then go home and then, have a security guard at their door, you know, having to drive with security front and back, just feeling that sense of why would they have to do that? Why can't they just go when they go to Morocco? They don't have that problem. When they go to Tunisia, they don't have that problem. When they go to other parts of the world, East Asia, wherever, they don't have that problem. Why do they feel that sense in Nigeria? So the older generation are hearing the conversations with their children, and I can say from many first-hand conversations that it's becoming worrisome for them that actually uh, their children are not going to be able to you can say value their nation the same way that they do. In some sense, that's natural, but in another sense, it's very it's completely due to the failures of the state thus far. So yeah, in terms of answering that question, and then in terms of the younger generation, you see, they identify with a lot of the artists and a lot of the music genre or sports people and all that kind of activity that has put Nigeria in the limelight. Nollywood and all that kind of, all the media that's pumping out of Nigeria, they identify with that. But to get them to identify on a political, transformative level, that's perhaps a little bit more difficult. It's gonna take a little bit of work actually, and to get them to that place. But that's fine. I think those that are interested will engage, and those that are less interested will not engage. That goes and cuts across all generations.
Okay. Now let's play this video that I alluded to before. You know, my takeaway from this video is you would see how happy and forward-looking this family is. Yes, they live in the United Kingdom, but it is also their dream to see how they can come home, and this happened to them. Let's have a watch.
Let's go. Come.
He can no longer hide.
He can no longer hide.
Okay.
I also like it. Okay. Yeah, go.
They are the future generation.
Okay, get my day. Everything video, everything.
Me, I want to do video with my president.
Don't worry. It's done already. Okay.
Very fine.
Yeah. So, sorry.
So now you know, watching that video, what's your take? You know, there is this urge for those in the diaspora wanting to reconnect to their roots and wanting to see how they can give back to that place that they once called home. What's your take?
Okay, I think you're now talking of maybe your discourse is now leaning towards identity and our sense of who you are. Yeah, of course, you know, as Africans, as Nigerians, being black in a predominantly European context or American context, you are definitely other, you know, and you will ask questions about where you are coming from. Even if you are not asking it, your children will ask. And you know, and if your children don't ask, your children's children will ask that question, you know. And so, if I'm hearing you right, I think you're asking the question, what's fueling this desire in many ways for Nigerians to reconnect with their roots. So I think it's a combination of everybody wants to know their story. There's, you know, even Americans. You see, you go to America. They're Black Americans who are doing DNA tests just to figure out what village they're from, you know. But it's not just Black Americans, white Americans as well, who want to know what part of Europe they're from. Some are aligned with Ireland, some are aligned with Scandinavia, some are more, you see. And you find that I meet them all the time on holiday in West London. In the summer, more or less, West London is more or less filled with Americans, you know. And you have these conversations, and oftentimes, if you delve deep enough, you'll find that they're almost on a journey of root level discovery. And Nigerians are no different than any person in the world who wants to have a sense of a story of how they got to where they got to. And if parents are not having those conversations with their children around the dining table, right, that child will have to find a way of making a story that will help him to understand who he is and where he's from. So that's one element. The other element is giving back. Yes, of course. You know, we in the diaspora, you know, we do feel as though we are highly resourced. We are, you know, for those who know Nigeria at least, compare, you know, if you're to compare our resources here and the life of perhaps those on the breadline in Nigeria, you really can't compare it, you know. And so it makes no sense to you know, even the gospel say, love thy neighbor as you love thyself, you know. And charity begins at home, and you know, starts from Jerusalem, then Judea to the ends of the earth. I'm a strong advocate of in many ways, looking out for that which is immediate before launching out to things far and beyond. It's great for you to do that if you have the resources and you can, if you like, go on mission trips to Romania, go on mission trips to Kenya, do international development projects in Monrovia. I know many Nigerians doing great things all over the world, right? Under different organizational structures. And I'm all for that. And I think it's great because they are ambassadors, right? However, it makes no sense if there is an immediate need that you probably have easier reach to solve, to then be looking for a problem that's way beyond you. So I definitely encourage Nigerians to engage with Nigeria, and to do it in terms of and make Nigeria a priority in their international engagements.
Well, I mean, you've aptly summarized it there. Summarized it there. It must not, it's not only about knowing their roots. There are also other factors propelling them to wanting to come back to the land of their birth. I mean, and that's why, in your words, they are so passionate to see that that comes to fruition. We're rounding up here. Quickly to conclude, one would then wonder, vis-a-vis their passion to come home and to see a new Nigeria in their lifetime, what are you and the Labour Party doing to help those in the diaspora that may wish to come back home and may wish to join you to lend their services in rescuing and creating that new narrative? What are those things that you're doing in order to drive that?
To drive that. See, first of all, I want to address something. It's not necessarily we're not necessarily saying to Nigerians to go back to Nigeria. I just have to be very honest with that.
Okay.
That's
so
that's
I
not
thought,
what
I thought that majority of the people really want to come back.
Do you think so? I'm not too sure about that. To be honest, I am not too sure about that. I get the sense that many Nigerians, well, there are some who do want to go back, right? But it's very. I think there's more who understand the reality of Nigeria and perhaps want to have their feet on both sides of the channel, more so than go back. If they go back, it's probably for very short trips, right? And then come back. Some do go, establish businesses, struggle, discover the challenges, and then decide no, they don't want to deal with it anymore. I've seen that quite a lot, and I've seen others actually move back and settle as well. But I can't say there's a strong groundswell of people wanting to move back. But what I can say is that there's a strong groundswell of Nigerians in the diaspora wanting to see Nigeria succeed. That's for sure. That's for sure. And so how do we help them do that? So what we do is this. If somebody comes to us and they are clearly wanting to move back, right? We activate our partnerships on the ground. We make that connection. We enable them to meet the right people who will help them to match their goals with the opportunities on the ground, right? In other words, their skill sets with the problem that needs solution, right? We do that. Barring that, we just encourage them to engage with our policy unit because we have access to a number of policymakers, not just in Nigeria, but also in the UK. We're in talks constantly with global leaders, in these two nations, people who make decisions. And so we do what we can to facilitate them being around these type of people and churning out policy solutions that can be fed into decision making. And then lastly, again, we encourage them to invest their capital, right? Invest back home, whether it's business investments, right? Find the right investment and invest, or whether it's NGO, third sector organizations, engage. So personally, my family are very much involved in hospital building in the Middle Belt. We're building, we're involved in big hospital projects in the Middle Belt, and other educational facilities being developed in that part of the world. My parents travel regularly back and forth. You see, that's informed perhaps my own diaspora passion for my country, seeing the passion in my parents, and I myself go back whenever I get the opportunity, right? And so I want to create similar channels for others who have similar drive to engage with Nigeria and maybe come back, and if they feel, well, they want to settle in Nigeria, then they should go and do that, and we will support them in doing that too.
That's a very fine place to anchor it. Obviously, you are encouraging people to keep doing what they do, in terms of being patriotic and doing their duties. It's been a wonderful time speaking to you, Ibrahim Ignobole. It's been wonderful time, and many can see that which you do regarding ensuring that the 2023 that things change, from the diaspora as the party, Labour Party chairman in the United Kingdom. Ibrahim, it's a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much, Mazi. And just before I go, is there time just for one last point
yes,
I wanted to make? The diaspora are very much identifying with Peter Obi's government. Coming government. Reason being is because I think he represents all the best practices that they see every day in their Western domains, right? He represents that. And on top of that, he's not a fly-in Nigerian. He is a Nigerian solution for Nigeria. He is a Nigerian from Nigeria, from the inside. There's a big difference between somebody just flying in and who's not been on the ground. But Peter Obi has been on the ground, and I think there is a lot of diasporans who can connect with the solutions that he's aspiring for Nigeria. And I encourage diasporans to get behind him. I really do feel that he's the right man for the hour. And of course, as Labour Party chairman, I encourage you to engage Labour Party in the UK. And I'm only interim, and so the chairmanship might be yours next. So we do need the talent. We need as many people as possible to engage with us as we push for a better and a more glorious Nigeria.
Thank you very much. That's a very fine place to leave there. Thank you once more. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, okay. I still remain your one and only. I repeat, the oldest rapper, the Western master. Hit it. I'm obedient. Be the obedient. Come out with your full chest and confidence. No matter what they do, you no go relent. I'm obedient. Be the obedient. Come out with your full chest and confidence. No matter what they do, you no go relent. Enough is enough, and you have to go tired. All the shady politicians are all getting fired. PVC, that's the antidote. And you get kicked off as a come 2020 done. Digital PVC, man they call them all. You ain't talking Peter Obi, because travel more. Giri, we go sanitize them. At the end of the day, we go analyze them. I'm obedient. Be the obedient. Come out with your full chest and confidence. No matter what they do, you no go real.